Morning everybody, welcome to episode 4 of The War Room. Today we'll be discussing the loose trio, the Springbok loose trio. Mark will tell you a little bit more about the background to the War Room series. Very important, once you've watched this podcast or listened to it, get to the bottom, get to the poll and definitely click your votes. Who would you pick to be the Bok loose trio in a situation where we lost the starters in an emergency? We hope you enjoy the show. Mark, just your background to the series, The War Room, what is it all about?
Yeah, The War Room is how much depth is there in South African rugby. We've taken, for purposes of the series, the starting 15 from the 2019 World Cup final where we won 32-12. I love saying that.
World champions.
32-12, Eddie. Take that, Owen Farrell. But if those 15 players couldn't start, and let's be honest, they haven't started since their World Cup final because we haven't played a test. But it's 1-1 against the British and Irish Lions. We're at the FNB Stadium. There's 90,000. We've managed to get them back in. And we've got to find another 15 players. How much depth does South African rugby have? So we've gone from 15 down to the halfbacks. We've got the backline. You voted for it. We selected. You voted. A few differences in the two sides.
Yep.
And also, there's a Bok jersey that will be given to one of you. And there's going to be another Bok jersey at the end of the forwards. And by next week, we'll wrap up the series and we'll say this is the starting 15 that could go out if those top 15 players weren't there. And our 15 is definitely going to differ to yours because it already has with the backs. And that will tell us how much depth there is. So, Zels, if you just want to run through our starting backline and that of the fans, and then we'll get into the loose forwards.
Okay, so the backline that we chose was Francois Steyn at fullback. Our wings were Sabu Nkosi and Sergio Peterson. And our centres were Jesse Kriel and Cornel Hendricks. And then the fans, they chipped in. They voted on the polls. Sorry, I haven't mentioned our halfbacks. We chose Damian Willemse at fly-off, and at scrum-off we chose Herschel Jantjies.
So Damian Willemse was our bolter, Sergio Peterson our bolter, and one thing we have seen from the South African fans, they aren't bold at all.
Not at all.
They've gone, if I thought I was fairly conservative when it came to experience, they've gone right back to the oldies for depth.
I mean, how many shots do we take from readers saying, mate, give the young guys a go? Why are you so tight about this? Let it slide. You know, it's just a game of rugby.
We put every youngster in that poll and they got like 2%.
Exactly.
And there's been 25,000 votes. So a lot of you have voted. This isn't a 15-vote poll. This is a lot of votes over the last 10 days to 12 days. The readers, they didn't go for Damian Willemse at fly-off.
No, they didn't. So, yeah, the way that the readers picked the backline was Frans Steyn.
The old man, Frans came in on the tractor, he's still there.
They had Sabu Nkosi, they put Cornel Hendricks on the wing, and then their centres were Jesse Kriel and Jan Serfontein.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then at fly-off, we had some close run-ins there. Johan Goosen was in the mix. Ruan Pienaar was in the mix. At the end of the day, they went for Morné Steyn, and they went for Kobus Reiner.
Kobus Reiner, he's a fan favourite in South Africa. They absolutely love him, and they love those spectacular tries he scores. And they tend to excuse if he's a little bit inaccurate with his scrum half game, but everyone loves him.
Yeah, he's an all-action bloke, though.
He's an all-action bloke. Scores those long-distance tries. The one he scored against Canada, fantastic. Scored them for Montpellier. Good bloke to have in the mix. So our backs are looking good.
Yeah.
I think there's a hell of a lot of depth.
Powerful.
I'm comfortable we can put either one of those 2/3 backlines out there, and we'll take the Lions. And we'll take the series. Loose forwards. What have we got going there?
Ray. Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
This is a long and possibly not distinguished list.
All right, if I'm asleep in Mard, will wake me up and bring me back.
I'm just going to give you names.
All right.
Vian Liebenberg, Marco van Staden, Arno Botha, Jacques Potgieter, Opal Mahoje, Janus Kirsten, Franco Mostert, Willem Alberts, Jacques Duplessis, Dan Dupré, Jean-Luc Dupré. Kobus Wiese, Reinhard Alstad, Nizam Kar, Sikumbuzo Noche, Marcel Coetzee, Jaco Coetzee, Ulrich Loh, Tim Mugabe, Jacques Vermeulen, Ruan Ackermann, CJ Velleman, Jasper Visser, Hanro Liebenberg, Kyle Brink, Jaco Kriel, Vincent Chituka, Len Massane, Chris Kluti, Philip van der Walt, Francois Kleinans, Jono Ross, Michael Rhodes, Dylan Richardson, Henko Venter, Tembelani Borley, James Venter, Pepsi Buthelezi, Joe Dutoy, Jano Augustus, Willie Engelbrecht, Evan Roos, Ernst van Rijn, Quagga Smith, to name a few.
And the A-list, where's that?
Unfortunately, that isn't on my phone.
Wow, that's a lot of loose forwards playing here and abroad.
Yes, it is, Mark. It is. It's a long list. I think, South Africa is kind of renowned for being this factory for loose forwards, and these are some potentially great loose forwards. But what we don't have, I think maybe we're a bit spoiled. We had that era with Skalkberger, Dwayne Vermeulen, Francois Lowe. We had all these heavy hitters, Willem Alberts in his prime. We seem to have a lot of sort of middleweights in terms of caps, loosies to pick from, and that seems to have been really whittled down. We've got a lot of young guns here. I'm sure we're going to get some studs that emerge from this group, but nobody that really jumps out and says, hey, pick me now.
Look, I used to be very bullish about our loose forwards. I'd say we produce loose forwards like New Zealand produces winners. Doesn't matter who you pick, they'll do well. When you read me that list, there's some wonderful individuals, but when I start thinking about a loose trio combination,
mate,
it's not quite as flash. I'm not quite as bullish. I'll get there in the next 10 minutes in the selection committee meeting in the war room.
10?
Jeez, I tell you, I was surprised. I thought there was a little bit more in terms of cohesion of what we've got there. And again, we keep on saying to the viewer, to the reader, and to whoever's listening on the podcast, a lot of these selections do come down to combinations. Your halfback combination, your back three combination. Who do you pick in the midfield because of who you're picking at 10, or who don't you pick at 10 because of who's in your midfield?
Yep.
Can you bring a certain winner in, or is it out of place with a back three combination? So we do know when it comes down to the national selection, 15 best is not always the best 15.
Of course.
And rugby is a game that comes with combinations, and none more so than the loose forwards. And in South Africa, we've always had this thing that we've tended to go for very tall loose forwards because they give us the extra option in the lineout, where South Africa's always been dominant, and they give you an advantage at kickoff, both chasing the kickoff and the kickoff receive in terms of that height. Australia and New Zealand, to a degree, England have always said they'll sacrifice the height in the lineout.
Yeah.
Australia, one stage, were playing two very short flankers, two open side specialists playing to the ball. New Zealand, the mighty Macau was never the tallest. They kind of played open, close. We play left, right. You try and explain that to a lot of people, they don't quite get the difference.
Right.
We were very spoilt with Dwayne Vermeulen at 8. And South African rugby, if you go back for the bigger part of it, Gary Teichmann possibly the exception. We needed a physical presence at 8, and then we're strong. When you look at that group of youngsters, there's no physical presence at 8 that can replicate anything Dwayne Vermeulen does. And Dwayne Vermeulen, player of the World Cup final, sensation against England in the home series win here, player of the season for the Bulls in their Currie Cup win. If I look at this whole box setup, I think we've got potentially a like-for-like replacement in every position except a straight swap for Pollard and a straight swap for Dwayne Vermeulen.
Yeah.
In terms of youngsters that are coming through, how would you see that?
Mark, okay, so on this long list here, only 12 of these guys are boxed, and only 9 of those 12 have got more than 10 caps. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. We don't have that wealth of experience to draw from here. I agree with what you're saying there about Dwayne. I don't think it's so much physicality. I think Skalkberger called him Tupperware muscles. I think there's plenty of guys on this list that look the part. Monsters, traditionally looking wise, traditional South African loose forwards. What I don't see here is the guy that scares the crap out of me. I don't want to be stuck anywhere near the ball when Dwayne Vermeulen is on defense. And I don't see anybody on this list. I mean, the bone collectors.
I see someone on that
some
list.
Old legs.
It's old legs. I see someone on that list. And when I went through that list last night, and I thought, look, there's some hell of a exciting talents. I mean, we looked at Jean-Luc Depré, Dan Depré, when they came on the scene. Wow, they had that big first year. They've gone to Sale, kind of more so Dan than Jean-Luc has come to the fore. I just don't see Dan Depré as a number 8 for the Springboks that will have the Lions in a third and decisive test thinking too much about it. Exactly. That's why I would tend to lean more towards experience. And the closest I would go for a like-for-like number 8 would be Willem Alberts. He's played lock. He's played in the loose forwards. I only want to get 40 minutes out of him. And I think he could do a hell of a lot of damage. 1 defensively, but also 2 with a pick up and go and the way he hits those rucks. So just looking at at a first glance at that massive list of yours, it was like Augustus, not conditioned enough. I think his career is going to end up in. I'm sending a lot of guys to France.
They love you over there, mate.
Every time we do a show, I'm sending the next five youngsters to France and saying they'll be great club players. They're not conditioned enough to play for the Springboks, and he's been the biggest disappointment for me in the last 2 years. I know beset with injuries, but again, an example of a big, strong number 8 who at under 15, under 16, under 18, and under 21 level was running over anyone in the world. And then he rocked up one day, and there's a lot of big guys there who are 30 years old, and he doesn't just run over them. And it reminds me of a story that was told to me when Marcel Brachy made his debut in the Currie Cup, and big, talented, fast, and he was up against Waylon Murray, who had played for the Springboks. The first time he got the ball, Waylon Murray picked him up, stuck him in the ground, and pulled him up and told him there's more than one big coloured back playing in this league. And I just get the feeling with Augustus, he's got to grow up and he's got to get conditioned. So he's on our list, and he should have been someone that 3 years out of under 21 was pushing for it.
Yeah, I was pushing for Truckee. I mean, at the 2019 World Cup in the build-up to that, I said, this kid is in form. He's bossing guys at the junior levels. Give him a gap in that World Cup squad. I think he's one of a lot of guys on this list that, again, look the part, but just don't have that mental edge. And I think that's what Dwayne has got. Dwayne, Bucky's, Juan Smith, those guys are going to be hard men their whole life, regardless of what they weigh and what their fitness is. And I think that edge is missing from a lot of these kids is, can you bring it where the other team is actually nervous to be around the action when you're involved?
Well, I've come in thinking Bone Collector, a name that you threw in the mix. He's definitely going to start. He's going to start either on the flank or he's going to start at 8. And for purposes of this series, he is fit. He's not going to be injured. Marcel Coetzee. Superb in South Africa, went to Ulster, has become a little bit of a Rampino-like guard in Ulster. How he comes back from injury after injury, and he's had some serious knee injuries.
Yeah.
He is strong. He's arriving at the Bulls. Currently, he's available. If this match was being played on Saturday, and this was a Monday, he would be in our starting 15.
Right.
Is he going to be there at 8, or is he playing on the side of the scrum?
Okay, so for me, the way that I'm looking at this loose trio, I think 7 is a great place for us to lock down our first guy, because I think our differences of opinion are going to be at 6 and 8. I think you and I kind of have the same idea of what kind of play we want on the blind side. I think Marcel Coetzee is definitely going to be in that loose trio. At blind side, I'm looking at guys like Sos, Franco Mostert, obviously a great line-out option, high work rate guy, currently playing in Japan. And I think he competes with maybe a Willem Alberts. Renan Alstad's another guy I would look at there, who brings that physical edge. Also, semi-lock option. Assuming we pick that sort of a player there, I think for me, I like Marcel at 8 or 6. I think Marcel is probably our best guy who can play to the ball. So ideally, if it would be a bit of a luxury in the pool of players we're looking at, but he would probably have to start at 8, and look at a guy like Marco van Staden at open side.
Okay, so you wanting Marcel at 8, not on the side of the...
Ideally, I like him there, but then at 8 and 7, who do we pick there? I think Marco's a guy at open side who's potentially younger, more in form, and ready to go right now.
Does Marco give us a reminder of a Heinrich Brousseau 2009?
No, not yet. No, he's not that player. Marcel Coetzee could potentially fit in there. He's played a lot of his recent rugby at number 8. But he's great to the ball.
What is Marco van Staden's strengths?
He is a fetcher, but he hasn't really emerged as the next Heinrich Brousseau. I mean, he is very good playing to the ball. Great tackler, high tackle efficiency, low to the ground, a real ball hawk, gets in there. But he hasn't sort of risen to the sort of George Smith, which is the highest level.
Fair to say that he could be seen as a liability at times, or is it just the position he plays that he's got to play on the edge and coaches say, you're going to give away 3 or 4 penalties. We accepted those 3 or 4 balls you steal where you should have given away a penalty are going to be decisive.
Yeah, look, I stand to be corrected on this, but I think that among the guys that play hard to the ball aggressively, he has a relatively low penalty count.
All right, so I just want to know from the height perspective and knowing how we focus so much on the line-out options, as I said, the kickoff receives. Do we sacrifice with Marcel and a Marco van Staden? Do you think we're giving up anything, or do you think
No, we are giving up something, and that's why let's pause that. Let's say Marco and Marcel are in the frame for 6. You saying Willem Alberts potentially at 8, maybe at 7. I'm saying Franco Mostert, Reinhard Alstad at 7. So let's start trying to find a way to lock down one of those positions.
All right, a guy that I really enjoy watching, and he's had limited opportunities with the Springboks. Rassie does rate him from his Stormers days when he was still coaching him, Reinhard Alstad. And Rassie once said to me, if there's a guy you don't want to be stuck with in a dark room and be on the opposite end of whether he likes you or not, it's Reinhard Alstad. He said, I owe Mark my bomb. So he is a tough bugger. Tougher for playing over in France, playing for Toulouse, but I think more refined now as a rugby player for playing in that Toulouse setup.
Yeah.
I want to try and get him into the mix.
Okay, well, I mean, 7 is the only place that we could probably play him.
I think that mentality, that mongrel, that hardened edge, it's the third and decisive test. He's been playing against these blokes in Europe all the time for the last 3 years. I'm going to put down a marker.
Yep.
And in our horse trading, I'm just going to say, give me Alstead.
I'm with you.
And I'll give you Kitsura. Okay, can we lock him in as our 7?
I like that. Look, I think Franco Mostert is very close to that conversation, but I like the edge that Reinhard brings.
Look, I'm thinking Mossi, when we speak about the type 5 in our final episode, he's obviously a shoo-in at the moment, having been part of the World Cup mix, been outstanding, been consistent for the last couple of years. So
you see him at lock.
I see him more at lock, and with that work rate and that engine he's got.
Not a bad call.
And I see an Alstead coming in at 7 and providing us with that energy, but that raw mongrel.
Right.
So can we lock him in?
Yes.
And he's played for the Boks already. So Alstead is our 7. That leaves us with 6 and 8.
Yep.
And again, for purposes of the viewer, the reader, and the listener, we don't play a specialist open blind. We are still picking left and right in the traditional South African sense. Yes or no?
I was thinking around the open side and the blind side, but yeah.
We're going to specifically get out loose trio. One plays to the ball, one takes it up basically.
Yeah. One's the ball carrier, one's to the ball.
So we're not playing the left and right here.
No.
We are going more the New Zealand-Australian route, and we are picking a 7 the way Halstead would be our 6 in the New Zealand term.
In the New Zealand frame, yeah.
And so our 7 would be our open side.
Correct.
Our 6 would be our ball carrying strong man.
Yep.
And our 8 would be, my God, whoever we can find. Okay, so we're playing a strong John Smith type blindside flanker.
Yes, and 2 guys to mention in that context, because they'll be on the poll, are Janus Kirsten, who I rate highly, and Jacques du Plessis, who's back from Montpellier.
And he's an interesting candidate. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he needs another season with Jake at the Bulls. I know Jake was very impressed with him at Montpellier. He can play that position. He can also play lock. And just having played over there for 5-6 years, he just brings a different mentality back to the South African game.
Yeah.
I like him as a footballer. For purposes of our selection, I don't think he's quite ready there yet. I think he'll be a bit raw, a bit overawed by the occasion.
Yep.
But a very good player. Jean-Luc, look, if I had to pick him in a big game, I probably wouldn't have sleepless nights about it because of his physicality, and he just doesn't seem to have kicked on. I mean, I rate him higher than I rate Dan in terms of seeing them as players who could go on to play 30, 40 test matches.
Yep.
I just think when you look at the size of him, and let's also, they are still young. 2-3 years time, they'll be
25,
and looking at 27, 28, then you start saying, that's when a forward is really coming into his prime. So, I like what they've offered the game, but they're not quite there in
the
form
potential
at the moment.
versus the actual.
Exactly. So if we've got Alstead
at 7,
6 playing to the ball.
Right. So I think Marcel's biggest value to the Boks is at 6 because the replacement value of Marcel, the next guy up, I feel is a big step down. The problem is if we play Marcel at 6, then we're looking at playing one of these young thumpers at 8.
Oh, you are.
You've got your eyes on the boat,
I've got my eyes on an old veteran, from Monument.
36 years old, playing number 4 for the Lions. 120 kilograms.
I need 40 minutes from you and the last 40 of your life.
Okay, well, I mean, listen, this is going to come down to your call because I can see you go Marcel Coetzee at Willem Alberts. I would probably go...
if you're picking Marcel at 8,
yeah,
who's playing to the ball?
I'm saying Marco van Staden. But I understand your reservations there. If I played Marcel at 6, I might go with the Jean-Luc du Preez or get Ruan Ackermann again. Massive raw physicality from a youngster, but not maybe that edge that we want.
Where are we going to get the maximum value out of Marcel Coetzee? 8 or 6? If we go to Marcel at 6, Ulstead at 7.
Are we agreeing it on Marcel at 6 now?
I'm asking you, you've done the analysis. I trust your analysis. You've crunched the numbers. And we are a selection committee. You are the chief selector, the chief of ours. I'm happy with Marcel at 6. If you say he's going to add the greatest value to the potency of this fantasy pack that we selected, then I'm happy for him to play there.
Yes, I like him there. I think that's his most valuable
and I like him there more than I like Marco van Staden.
And I agree.
But then who leaves it as 8?
I mean,
what are our options today? Run through the list now. We've locked it in. Lock. We've locked it in.
Okay.
We've got
Marcel Coetzee at open side and blind side is Reinhard Ulstead.
All right. And they were both playing, or one's still playing for Toulouse. The other one was playing for Ulster for the best part of 5-6 years. Marcel Coetzee is back. He's a local-based player. He's back at the Bulls under Jake White and expect him to flourish. His biggest thing, he's got to remain injury-free. But for purposes of this match, he's fit and he's raring to go. Who do we pick at 8? What are our... Give me 3 potential options at 8 there, and we'll dissect their merits.
The guys that have got test experience are Nizam Kar and Norche, Sikambuzo Norche. Willem Alberts has obviously got 43 caps. He's 36 years old. And then you've got the du Preez twins and Ruan Ackermann. I think those are your front runners. And obviously Arno Botha at the Bulls, but he's another guy who looks the part, just hasn't consistently delivered.
Yeah, as Mike Proctor used to say about Andre Nel, he looks like a fast bowler, he runs in like a fast bowler, he talks like a fast bowler, he acts like a fast bowler. The only problem is he isn't a fast bowler. Arno, I feel the same when it comes to test level. He looks like he's got it all. He flourishes in games where it's like a flat track bully, and then when it comes to that big crunch game, he does tend to go a little bit quiet. Yeah, very underwhelming.
Yeah.
I like those options when you bring it down to 8 like that. It looks a little bit more healthier than when you just read me that
long
entire list.
Yeah.
Noche. He's played well. He's been very good at the Sharks since he left the Stormers. He's been in the Bok mix, out of the Bok mix, back in the Bok mix. When he's got his opportunities at test level, he's done well.
Yeah.
Why is he not a straight swap for Dwayne?
Oh, I mean, he's nowhere near the same style player. Sikambuzo, way better athlete, offers speed, agility, greatness, support play, but then offers very little in terms of physicality, edge, the gritty stuff. When you have to put your head in the dark hole, then Norch isn't the right guy for that.
Do you see him coming off the bench in a game like this?
Yeah.
So he would be now 23.
Yeah.
He would be now 23. He definitely features the guy. Last 30 minutes, the Luns are going from those Pommies and the Irish Scots and the Welsh.
Yeah.
And you introduce him, but like a Skinstad, flamboyant.
Absolutely.
Makes that amazing pass. Do that something spectacular. But for the purpose of the first 50 in this game, where we want aggression,
knock somebody out.
We want grunt, and we want to throttle and strangle these guys and let them know they're in South Africa. And the big 5, as Jake used to say, the big 5 you don't find at the Kruger Park, you find them in our pack, okay? So, Noche, for those who are huge fans, and I'm a big fan of his, he's in our mix, but for purposes of 1 to 15, he doesn't start.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
Yeah.
Dan du Preez, I'm not going to pick him.
No.
He's gone.
No.
Jean-Luc, I don't think is an 8. He's gone.
Okay.
So where are we down to?
Well, that pretty much leaves us with Ruan Ackermann.
Nizam Kar,
but he's the same linking player as Norch. And then
the Bone Collector, Willem Alberts.
And the Bone Collector.
All right, in that mix, talk me through Nizam Kar. Didn't quite kick on at the Stormers, went to Wasps, played very well, has come back to the Bulls. It's kind of been thereabouts, playing in the shadow of Dwayne. Again, very good footballer.
Very experienced. But not at test level, but he's a journeyman. He's been around.
Does he have that physicality at 8?
And I think that's the problem is, a linking loose forward is a luxury in a competition where the Sharks, you're banging up and unders. Guys are kicking, relieving kicks back into space. And now it's broken play. You're on the counter-attack. An 8 that can link there is deadly. But at Test rugby level, you're not going to have that same freedom. When you kick a contestable, they're going to clean it up and they're going to kick one back at you. And that's going to be the game.
So if we were back in the 70s in a selection committee meeting room,
excuse me,
would it be a case of Malcolm Sach?
Correct.
And then bring on the pretty
That's
boy.
Test rugby, unfortunately.
And then bring on the pretty boy to do the rest.
Spot on.
So it would be bring on the Nizam car, bring on the Noche to create the magic. Wonderful hands, vision, feel for the game. But for this crunch, vital test where it's going to be a physical war up front, we got to emphasize that.
Yeah, you got to lay somebody out.
We're looking for 40 big minutes.
You keep angling it, mate.
It's like I've written this job spec for only one guy.
The only way Willem Alberts can play this game is if we put him on a Segway, mate. There's no ways he's going to get to 40.
40 minutes from the bone collector. I've got to pump up that oxygen. Have him water breaks on 20. He just needs to flatten one bloke early on.
He will, but it'll be 3 minutes before he hits the next guy.
Well, even if he flattens that first one and Noche is on, after 6 minutes, they're one man down. His job is done.
Spot on.
And he just has to kind of break one tackle and break one bone.
Look, I like it. I'm all for the old guy, and I mean, he's a great character. He's old Willem Alberts. I think if it was me, I would be looking at Jean-Luc Depree or Ruan Ackerman. As much as I'm hesitant about throwing a young guy in there like that. But I mean, Willem Alberts adds value. Don't make no mistake. He does add value. It's just about whether those lungs and that heart still wants to push.
Ruan Ackerman, he's gone to Gloucester. Played at 8, played at 7. Some say he could even play at lock. Is he going to kick on and play for England? Do you think he's good enough to play for South Africa given the quality of loose forward that's there?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now, he's in a mix with a lot of guys that sort of fit the same profile. With Ruan Ackerman, you maybe don't get consistency. When he's good, he's great, but he also has his quiet spells in games. And I think that's the thing that one of these guys is going to have to prove. Kubus Wiese is another guy we didn't mention. He probably has more of that sort of consistent battering ram. You know, he's a guy you know what you're going to get from him. And I think that's guys like Ruan Ackerman have got to prove that they can deliver at a constant level.
You more versed with this than I am. Is he available for England at the moment or not yet?
Ruan Ackerman?
Yes.
I'm not sure whether he's qualified yet, but I think he will soon be.
Because I was going to say, if he's 25. Qualified and they're not picking him, then I don't want him.
Yeah.
But I may be a little bit unfair on him at the moment. We also, Michael Rhodes, he's been in the England mix. So we kick him out as well.
Yep.
Another guy that also went overseas, did a lot better than he did when he was here. Look, I'm not absolutely sold on Willem Alberts. I'm thinking I get your point. Maybe the romantic in me, rolling back the years, is thinking the bone collector, the bone crusher, the monument monster can come out and just do something.
Well, he is based in South Africa.
And he's been playing at the Highveld.
Yeah.
I think the opposition would look at him and be a little bit aware that he's around for the first 20.
Yeah, spot on.
And
thank goodness we didn't pick Ruan Pienaar to start at 9, because can you imagine a 36-year-old at 8, a 37-year-old at 9? If we'd gone with Morné Steyn at 10, 36, and then Cornell 32.
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army comes in and saves the day. All right, let's narrow it down to 2 now.
Yeah.
So we've only got 2. Who are they?
Yours is Willem Alberts. I would probably go Jean-Luc Depree.
Jean-Luc at 8.
Yeah, but that's fine. I'm fine with Willem Alberts. I'm fine with that. I just know he won't make it to 80.
No.
Anywhere near 80.
Look, you've convinced me now he's not going to make it past 30.
Yeah.
I thought he was still good for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Willem Alberts, and I'm going to
that.
ask him for strong opening 25.
Can you just sing the national anthem, mate? That's all we need from you.
I don't even need him to do that. I need him to kind of like save whatever he's got in the lungs. I need one big hit early on.
Doesn't matter whether he's got the ball or not. Just lay someone up.
And I don't need a Donny Rousseau hit on O'Driscoll where the wrong guy got up.
Right.
Body position's got to be low. And I just need him to go out there and play his final test for South Africa.
Let's do it.
And kind of know that he scalped the Lions and he did the dirty on them. I'm going to put all my faith in Willem Alberts to give me 30 minutes as a start, and
then Noche
will come on and just dazzle for the last 50.
I like it.
And they will both say afterwards, without the one, we couldn't have done it. Without the other, we couldn't have done it.
Right.
So the loose trio that I'm putting to the Chief of Selectors, Zelim Nel, is this. Dan Dupree, John. Signed off. Flip that one over.
Plot twist.
Flip that one over. So are we unanimous?
Yes, let's go. Marcel Coetzee, open side flanker. Blind side flanker, we're going to go Reinhard Alstad. And number 8, it's the bone collector.
Willem Alberts. If you repeat that again, then we can lock it in. Who's at 8?
Who's at 8?
Marcel. Willem Alberts at 8. Blind side.
Reinhard Alstad.
Reinhard Alstad. And Marcel Coetzee, he's fit for this one. He'll come in and lead the loose forward charge. That's our loose trio. You pick your 6, you pick your 7, you pick your 8. There will be a voting poll. Go to SARugbymag.co.za. Click on the thread. Click on the vote. We've had 25,000 votes so far for the back line. Let's see what the forwards hold. I'm sure there are going to be more votes because without a pack, it doesn't matter who you pick in the backs.
It's a tight 5.
And the essence of this series, as we keep on saying, it's 1-1 against the British and Irish Lions. It's at FNB Stadium. We've got our crowds back, 90,000. And lo and behold, the top 15, those who started against England in that 32-12 win in 2019, are unavailable. We have a crisis.
Andy Marinos has got them on strike.
Who do we pick? Andy Marinos has said, you're not going out today. And Raymond Ackerman from Pick and Pay said, no more cash to pay you guys. So, that is the essence of this series. Make your picks. Your teams are already differing to ours. Zal's going to run you through the team that we got so far. Our backline, it's Steyn, it's
Saboon
Kosi, it's Sergio Peterson is our winner. That's the bolter for us. Our midfield,
Jesse Creel, and at 12 we've got Cornel Hendricks. And then our halfbacks,
great bolter, Damian Willemse and Herschel Jantjies. And your team, you had Herschel Jantjies at 9, you had Morné Steyn at 10, you had Jan Serpentine.
Kobus Reinach at 9.
Kobus Reinach, jeez. Yeah, Kobus Reinach at 9, Morné Steyn at 10, 12, Jan Serpentine, 13, Jesse Creel. And on the wings, Cornel Hendricks, Kosi, and Frans Steyn. So a lot of similarities. We've gone with the 2 youthful bolters in Sergio Peterson and Damian Willemse. So we haven't gone with the youthful bolter in our loose forwards. We've gone with experience. All 3 have played for the Springboks. All 3 have played a lot of their rugby overseas in European conditions for the best part of the last 5 to 6 years. And that, I believe, will give us an edge.
Spot on.